Good morning and welcome to Quantum Sound Therapy Mastermind, the Sound Medicine Mastermind, the fifth week. My name is Helen O'Reilly and I'm really excited to be here today because I've been in a tutorial since Sunday. So I finally get to share this message. And I've been feeling tremendous resistance from the consciousness actually that manifested in everything electronic and digital kind of breaking down. But it's all back together thanks to Ian, Burton, and Natalie, and a few other tech people. So here we are. And so I assume I learned this early days in this project that when you do have some resistance in the consciousness, it's not those of you wonderful beings with high, beautiful energy gathered here. But when there's some resistance in the consciousness, there's often an electronic failure or problem. And honestly, we wouldn't be here today without Ian and Natalie because we had some interesting complications over the last week. But you will know that when you're doing your work, that there is resistance in the consciousness. And we had the good fortune to learn that from some highly evolved beings. So here's what I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to be wrapping up the 5-week journey. And I want to thank all of you who have joined the Facebook group, Scalar Sound Voice Mastermind. That will be ongoing. And what we're going to do is take a pause for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be working with Sage Levine's group next week to sketch out what we do going forward. And I will be relying on your feedback. I threw together that quick poll, but that was just to get a feeling. But I'm going to actually probably create a poll where I ask you sincerely what you'd like to know more about and what you feel was missing, any blind spots. And I realized over the last 5 weeks that we haven't even scratched the tip of the iceberg of the knowledge behind this. And I have a couple of slides to fill you in on some of the things that I realized I'd left out that are key, so that you can work on integrating those into your practice over the next week or so. Also, I am going to be asking for video testimonials. There's a slide at the end. And there'll be a contest. The best video testimonial wins an Own Pocket and 24 Cloud Sound Therapy sessions. And so that is just to encourage you all to do video testimonials. It's what transformed in your life since you've been in the field of the quantum vortex field. So last week, I initiated you into being the queen or king of your own quantum vortex. And this was a way of expanding your energy. And as we did that together collectively, the 3 days that followed, this is what came into my consciousness. And I don't know that I'm going to start another Facebook group at the moment, but the mission, the big picture that I know you've been asking for, the why, is to actually create a tribe, a community of 1,200 real fans who actually either have miracles or Teslas running 24/7. And I'll be giving you some statistics and some data about what's possible when you raise your frequency and what some of the researchers have been finding. And the big thing is to chunk it down. So the big vision is to circulate these throughout the planet, and we're doing a fairly good job. There's a lot of resistance, but that has declined since COVID. But Hilarion had given us this, that could raise the resonant frequency of the earth. So as the person that I am, I've been talking about this since the 90s in New York when I used to lecture a lot more in different settings. And I would say, this could raise the resonant frequency of the earth. And I actually think people believed me. I always had full audiences. But the truth is that with the iCubes, the way they've been created now, running 24/7, and the Om pockets contributing to the field, we actually can create these vortexes that raise the resonance. Now I'm going to show you some of the serious aspects of this, as serious as I can be today. So David Hawkins, how many of you heard of David Hawkins and his research? He actually, in 29 years of extensive research, so he's been doing his work about the same amount of time, found that approximately, this is shattering to me, 87% of humanity calibrates at a collective energy level that weakens them. So that's appalling, actually. So every single day we're weakening ourselves. And he also discovered that high energy, or what I like to call coherent or high frequency people, actually counterbalance the negative effect of that low energy. You see the method behind the mission. So it even gets more mind-blowing. This doesn't happen at a 1-to-1 ratio. The higher your consciousness and vibration, the more impact you have in affecting larger groups of low energy people. So as we raise our resonant frequency, we actually can affect, first maybe tens and then hundreds and then thousands and then millions of people. Now, our job with quantum vortexes is a lot easier. He's talking about this in the absence of quantum vortexes. And in his book, The Eye of the Eye, which I highly recommend, Dr. Hawkins actually explains his research findings. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of optimism and a willingness or an openness to be non-judgmental of others will actually counterbalance the negativity of 90,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. So that's pretty awesome, actually. So one person, so now imagine one person, for example, one Tesla is roughly 100,000 seasoned meditators. And so our results are exponential. So here's the method behind the madness. It's the why of the mission. So if we had 1,200 and at least 1,200 active high frequency people, we are impacting huge groups. Now, of course, with the wisdom of Zoom and various other tools, we can actually impact people quite quickly. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of pure love and reverence for all of life will counterbalance the negativity of 750,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. Now, many of you may be experiencing a certain weight. Have any of you felt that? A certain weight of transference from the various vibrations going on the planet? It's because you're actually subconsciously working to raise the frequency. And just think of the impact you can have by raising your frequency. So one person, figure one of us, 750,000 at a minimum. Now multiply that exponentially when you add the iCubes. So when you step into a state of love, acceptance, and gratitude, you not only allow yourself to receive the abundance of the universe, but you also counterbalance 90,000 people on this planet who are suffering from the lower vibrating emotions of hate, guilt, anxiety, and other negative emotions. Can't none bring me down, my level's too high. So I received a couple of emails from some of you. This is what inspired that song. that basically showed me that you were having difficulty with the energy. And so I introduced this song. As you open, we need to go, whoops, somebody changed. We need to go back, actually. As you open to the energy field of the quantum vortex, you're going to be more open and you're going to feel the pain. So if you open your third eye and your heart completely, in order to have your heart open, the third eye needs to be open. Hardly anybody seems to know that anymore. But the thing is that you will start to feel the pain, and the key is you can't let that bring you down. And the key to that, which I think my slides are slightly out of order, but the key to that is to keep your boundaries. And so I'm going to teach that a little bit today, but that might be that's a whole course in itself. So as you open your field, energies and entities, and at times you have to send them to the light. At times you have to tell them to leave you alone. At times I want to tell you one thing, you're at least 1,000 times as powerful as those entities, because you're in a physical form. Being in a physical form, you actually have at least 1,000 times the power. And so one person wrote to me, we won't mention any names, saying she was beginning to experience sort of a drain from these various energies and entities. And I realized that's a good sign. It means you're waking up and you're seeing there's more going on here that meets the eye. On the other hand, it also means you have to do something with the positive energy. Action is key. And you also need to develop your boundaries. So we'll be working on that later. And do message me. I'll put that into the questions if you want to learn more about that. Because I'm only going to go to the next level of this course if you ask me to do it. If you tell me what you want to learn. I'm not going to keep teaching. I'm going to keep building the tribe. So you're going to have to tell me what it is you want to know more. I have a vast knowledge, at least a PhD in this. So I need to know from you. It's going to be much more interactive, the following stages. So many people have asked and messaged me how these key technologies are different, and many haven't connected it into their brain. So all of the technologies, whether it's the Miracle that I think you can see back here, this has triple nested, it has 3 coils essentially, triple nested. It still has the same frequencies, but it has an amplifier, a speaker, and a 24/7 AM PM soundtrack or play track, and designed to run 24/7. The Pocket is totally portable. It is like your portable version, but it still has a coil, inert noble gases, a soundtrack. This is my original, a soundtrack. This is not the digital player, but it's designed to run around. I just put it in a sunglass case and run around with it, but it's designed to be in movement. I'm going to go into more detail about generating the moving vortex today. So this is to work with your personal energy field. The Tesla, the Miracle is basically to work with one home, to keep it simple, one home or one office. And the Tesla is designed to work with the whole planet. And Tesla visited me over the weekend. This was, of course, the hidden mission of Tesla. He said, in his final interview, he actually said, my biggest failure is that I did not create a technology that would basically raise the frequency. And he called it create fields of radiant energy so that it would direct people to the spiritual. Well, welcome to this project. And he also said that was his greatest failure, understanding why they had mixed his inventions. So a big part of it, I am no longer able to shift. Natalie, you'll have to go to the next slide. I can't. It somehow shifted. I need to go to the next slide. Good. Okay, so so I wanted to talk about the Om Pocket because there are a lot of questions about it. So consider this your personal protection from 5G, which is why it was created. We were told about it was actually 6 years ago, that we didn't understand, we didn't have the language 5G, but that the energy field being generated would become as thick as pea soup. Those were the exact words. And that there would actually, as this accumulated, there would actually be DNA abnormalities and various dysfunctions, mental, emotional, etc. I just realized that some of my slides are missing from this version of the presentation, so I will explain what those slides are. I don't know how that happened. For example, right now, the self-help lines and suicide lines are exploding. There are 8,000 times as many people calling in to the suicide and self-help lines in Los Angeles alone. So the real pandemic is becoming a mental health crisis in the United States. And what's happening is that it's not just physical, it's of course becoming mental and emotional, which is why these tools are so important. And of course, this is also the impact of 5G. And when you run around with the Om Pocket, it was created actually, I'm going to move to the next slide, it's fine. So this is how serious, it's now a mental health crisis as well. I didn't realize it was to that extent. 8,000 times as many calls going to the suicide helplines. And this is occurring all over the country, but that was a statistic from LA. And another statistic is that Harvard just published a study stating that the pandemic will result in shutdowns through the year 2022. And so this is not going to end anytime soon. So the Om Pocket was designed to protect us from these times, and the idea, so this is the one concept you need to get from today, is that when you move through time and space with scalar energy, the moving actually makes it more powerful. And you can also very easily vortex with this. You can vortex a glass of water. But the idea is, as we go into this field of 5G, that you stay aligned enough to hear the messages from your guides who are always trying to get through, especially today. So this is, people are using it as this is basically your mobile device, your mobile scalar device. But I want to get very clear, it still has a scalar coil, inert noble gases. It still has a soundtrack. And it goes very nicely into crisis situations because nobody notices it. You can easily have it in your purse running. And so that's the key concept. It moves with you and therefore amplifies the positive energy of your field. So the paradox is that as you evolve and open, you become more aware of the negativity, which can drag you down more. So that's a paradox. You're higher and you can get impacted by the negativity more. And here's another interesting aspect of it. If you're moving in your car, train, boat, plane, or parachute, or even there's one hockey player, I don't think he has it on the ice, but maybe in his hockey bag, as you move, the vortex gets stronger and stronger. And it was even recommended that we actually add, if we can take our devices at home and put them on a Lazy Susan, it will actually amplify the field. And what was explained to us that very few people understand is your guides are always knocking. They want to talk to you. And most people aren't listening. We wouldn't have the pandemic that we have if people were listening and they were sane. That being said, a key to keeping yourself in the high vibratory state is when you go out, carry your own pocket with you. And, you know, I like to call it the quantum bubble effect. This bubble builds and you get used to traveling with it. And I know as a kid, I used to actually ask my mother this. It's hysterical. I used to say, I used to feel really good. We lived in that big house. If you watch that interview with David Wolf, we lived in that big house, 32 Manor House Road, and I felt really high in my house. And so then when I go out, I'd feel these weird feelings. So I used to ask my mother if she could make a bubble for me that would protect me. So here it is. I think it's hysterical. I was asking for the own pocket. And, you know, of course, you know, people are going through the 8,000 times as many calls as telling you that people are going through massive anxiety attacks. They are saying right now, there's another study out of Harvard that is stating 50% of the people are suffering from anxiety attacks and sleeplessness. So you have an idea how many people, if you're out there active, we can actually invite into our very loving, supportive, non-judgmental, and non-religious affiliated group. And you know, of course, it helps you to maintain your serenity. But in this case, it's your sanity. Now that we've entered into these times of change. Of course, the own pocket is based on brainwave entrainment. Everything actually is. If you want to learn more, do read the book, The Own Pocket Handbook. It's available for free on our site under the Own Pocket page, and it gives you a lot of details and how you can use it and you know what it's all about. And it can help people to sleep as well. There is a PM soundtrack. But the key is it was actually created for these times to protect you from 5G. It has inert gases, and it's generating that coherent field. And I did want to address this. Somehow some of my slides are missing. That those that are experiencing amplified transference from people, it's important to learn to protect yourself and self-care and boundaries. So do really notice when you are experiencing that energy from someone. So if people are having twice as many panic attacks, this can sort of log into your energy field. So do notice that. And I'm missing the slide. It was actually the Empath Survival Guide. Has some tools and techniques. I didn't write that myself. That was written earlier. And it has some tools and techniques because as you raise that frequency, you're going to become much more aware of how miserable most people really are. Again, another paradox. The higher you get, the more you see and know. And that's part of becoming the master that you are. I see that the slide is missing, so I might have to re-record this, but there are 3 things I left out last week from tools and techniques that are very key. One is that for those living in the field of the miracle that are new to the community, raw fats, we actually are really rebuilding your neuroplasticity and your neurons. In probably 50 years, we'll be able to show you that. But what's required and what management told us many years ago is that in order to align with that, you actually need to add raw fats, and the highest source is raw butter. And Amos Miller I had that. That is a slide that I can't remember his website at the moment, but I think it's millersorganicfarms.com. I'll post it in the Facebook group. But the raw butter is very important. It markets in conventional markets under Troyer, Troyer. It is raw butter, and also raw cheese. but particularly raw butter to actually build the circuits. We were actually told if you don't add enough raw fat to the diet, it will borrow from parts of your body. And in addition, avocados, olive oil, they're good, but they're not nearly the impact of raw butter. We'll post some more information about that. The other thing I left out was the significance in the tools and techniques, the protocols of using the spaces of silence in the soundtracks are specifically designed for advanced neuroplasticity so that you'll hear the phantom sounds in your brain. And that's a key factor. And the third most important to amplify is the use of affirmations when you're using the voice code software. So for example, I am happy, I am powerful, whatever your affirmation is, wherever you feel that we need to focus. And as we move forward as a group, we will work with the affirmations, but it's very key if you want to amplify and accelerate your results. So, hey. So welcome. Hello, Coach Benito. Welcome. I did want to make a few announcements as well. So I want to see right now, is Donna Makondachi in the house? Just check. Does anyone know if Donna is here? Because I wanted to announce that the House of Light is open in Noonan, Georgia. Let's find and I'm very excited about this because Donna has gone through a transformational vortex. She's very busy. So, and her transformational vortex involved a divorce and a total identity change. So I really want to congratulate her because it shows me what's possible. We met last year, and some of people's dreams and visions are actually manifesting. It does, with some people, it does mean that your life's going to change. But I don't think she is here, but I can understand. So this is like a healing center that's open. Now we're going to see this huge trend. So she is actually doing the physical healing center, but we are going to see an absolutely huge trend towards remote healing. We already are. So she's not here with us today, but I spoke with her. She's been completely busy because you can imagine when you open a healing center, there are a lot of moving parts. But I'm really excited about this because her group is gathering, her tribe is gathering, and she's actually creating in the physical field the quantum vortex. And the other thing is that I would like all of those people who want to start doing remote voice code analysis. Is there anyone online with us today that has, I just want to see, okay, we have a lot of, so, okay, so we have, it's amazing so many of you showed up the day before the holiday. Okay, so we have a lot of people, but so the remote voice analysis will become for people that want to do this, it will become so helpful to support and clear these tendencies that are coming up. Because what's been going on is that you're all remembering on the subconscious level the other lifetimes that you've experienced plagues or pandemics or wars, and it's all getting stimulating, which is why the 8,000 times as many people in LA are calling into support lines. So I think we will begin to generate both some Facebook Live events and do some voice code analysis and continue to do that as a service. That would be free. And as well, offering it to your family, friends, clients, and tribes. It's going to be very important over the next 3 years. This is this is going to build. It's not going to decline. The need, especially in the US, is going to increase. And you will be able to establish your practice, your work as a healer. You will start to get amazing results. And as that grows, it will be a movement unto itself, just remote voice code analysis, we'll call it. Okay, does anybody want to share or have a question? So I'd like to now open it up. I don't know if people have been putting questions in. Do we have any? But I don't know. Do you know how to raise your hand? You actually have to go to your name in the chat log and raise your hand, or you can just raise your hand like this. But a lot of you are not on camera. Okay, do we have any questions? Okay, Anne wants to share. So let's unmute Anne. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we have Anne from Canada. How are you? What is your...
Good.
Good. Welcome.
You know, all I wanted to share was actually what I messaged you yesterday, because it was interesting what you put up on the slide today. So when you did the journey last week, for those of you that didn't attend and you want to listen, I've found Helena's journeys to be quite profound at times. But that one gobsmacked me. So if you paid attention at all, I actually took my video off because I was bawling. And so you surprised me, but it was interesting because it seems to be perfectly in alignment with what you put on the slides today. So the vision is the first time I've ever seen Atlantis in my conscious awareness. And in that timeline, I had this inner knowing that love was a critical element to the success of having scalar technology on the planet. But it didn't end so well. That's the Coles Notes version of what I saw.
Didn't.
It was kind of ugly.
It did end sort of ugly. It's true.
And so it was intriguing because I've always had this inner knowing of combining the love aspect with the instruments, but it like drove it home for me last Thursday. So I was grateful for what you shared today, because those stats are perfect alignment with what I've been sensing, but not always been able to put into an articulation for people as to why the journey is so important with the scalar, but also our own journey and getting into that vibrational state. So I just wanted to thank you, because like last week, I had to go and disappear for a couple hours and transmute some of that.
Yes, I completely. Anything else that you wanted to share about what you saw? Because that's very, I know everybody has this like golden thing. Oh, I'm wearing gold. A golden thing about Atlantis. It's like, oh, it was a very high civilization. There was also a lot of conflict. You think?
Yeah, I think I felt that conflict. To just sum it up, I saw myself in a cave, to sum it up, and died there alone. And it was like I was barriered from being able to connect with my truth. And it just kind of shocked me at first. So I was laughing because I would take the video off and I'm bawling and I'm like, what the hell, man? But I recognized that it was finally time for me to see that, because there's always been this dance inside of me. And so it did help me understand. I mean, I've heard people talk about how people think it was this golden age. And I know you and I have talked that it didn't maybe end as, so eloquently. And I've never seen myself there. I've had an inner knowing, but to see it and actually see the misalignment of that truth was quite profound.
Yes, it's like, I always thought the awakening was going to happen, in Maui with everyone wearing white and chanting, Om or something. It's happening the same way here. Atlantis actually was highly evolved in technology and consciousness, where everyone was awake. What happened is that there were different classes. It was interesting, political class, more spiritual. And what happened, what resulted, but the technologies were out of sight. This is a version of that technology that Bob and I were actually working with. And I had the same experience. I was absolutely blown away with actually giving the regression, or whatever we call it, the timeline therapy. And at the same time, I did my own, which I've never done. I've always seen people's, but I've never seen my own. So
Yeah.
I was shown, I went through the experience while I was speaking of, I'd heard this, at least 4 deep trance channels had told me this, so I knew it intellectually. I didn't know it emotionally. I was shown what actually happened with Bob and I was that when he went off to Egypt to forge the new world, because we knew Atlantis had serious trouble and was going to sink. So it was like, imagine a room full of 1,000 Teslas. I stayed behind in the temple to oversee that, because I knew they were living energies, and they still are. And the reason you're here is because you do know that deeply. But so I stayed behind, but our thing was either he's going to come back or I'm going to go there. But as the time progressed, I realized he wasn't able to come back. And it was, my joke was, we didn't have iPhones. We didn't. So I sat there for a couple of years. I think I'm going to get the detail now from somebody that does actually read the records. But I think I sat there for a couple of years and then went into complete abandonment. So like Anne, and so when I would ask Hilarion, why am I so passionate about this? Like, why don't I just go sell real estate, do something easy, or open my private practice? And and he said it was because it was incomplete. So when he left, I waited, and then it became clear. And then, as a prophet, I could see that Atlantis was going to sink. And I left before. Now, I've regressed at least 100 people, probably more like 1,000 people. I've regressed because I've done some of that in groups who went through the sinking, and they're all traumatized like Anne. And I think you probably stayed and went through the sinking. And so it's the most traumatic thing. It's probably why you're here. It's probably why you connected to this group, is that we have, and now it's being stimulated, wouldn't you say, by this also kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's important that, as we open, so here's the deal, as we open and talk about this, we just changed your life.
Yep.
Because you all know that. You all know this. And, it's a bit of a risk to do this in a group, not like one-on-one and on Zoom, but we've opened your memory field. And so, like, at least, so if you feel some discomfort, just know that I'm doing this intentionally in baby steps. Anne's been with us for how many years? A long time.
8 years.
8
so
and
I'm good when it hits the wall now.
Yeah. So 8 and 15,000. So keep that in mind. And all of you, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be here, even listening right now. So, but what's important is that as we go through this journey, it's important that you allow yourself to take the baby steps and integrate. I think it's one of the reasons because of course I want to do another, like I had no thoughts today, but of course I'm already sensing you want to go in again. But it's the baby steps, and then you take a little break and integrate. And it doesn't all come right at once. But you may feel crappy for a couple of days, or it's important to allow that space, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Now
it's critical. That's what I did after the call. Is I disappeared. I went for a run, gave myself space for a few hours, and just let it out. And I didn't always, so it would get crunchier. But I'm always grateful, and just wanted to tie that in today.
Thank you. Thank you for making yourself vulnerable. Because did anyone else? Because it's not easy, and so we're going to move, more into subjects, some content, but also interaction, because this is the real work. We need you guys to be at that vibratory rate where just by being on the planet, you're affecting 100,000 people, just by being here. Now, the shortcut is get a Tesla. That's your shortcut. But if you can do that, and we can do, we can work that out. You'll know if you're supposed to do that now or not. But that's the short. But we can also really raise our resonance and work within the group context, because I've now been given that we need to be affecting millions of people, because this depression and suicide will become, you'll be surprised with what starts to happen. So that will be our side mission, is to really use this. I can tell you that the voice code can knock out some of the memories that cause the depression, because it's always that the psyche is going into overload as this memory comes to the surface. And I'd like to see this group supportive of each other. I know, where if something's coming up, you're seeing the ghost of your grandmother and she's, whatever comes up, it's just a joke, where we can actually deal with that in the moment. But it has to be that it doesn't all come to me, because the group will reach thousands. Even if we don't have thousands, there'll be thousands coming in for help. So so you can, I think as we move ahead, that will be the mission. So does anyone else want to share about last week, like if they saw something or they have a question? Okay, Coach Benito. I'm going to unmute Coach Benito. I think you have to unmute yourself as well. Okay, there you
go. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Nice to meet you.
I first want to say that I feel for a long time that I was going to meet someone, a female person who I just felt that I knew I was going to meet and I was meant to meet. And I got to say that it is you, Helena. I don't know how to explain this, but I just know it. It's so fascinating to be experiencing that. And I have followed you on Instagram for a while, but I didn't really dare to connect more. I thought I had some things to work within myself first. And then just the other day, I happened to see a post that you posted, and he immediately connected. I was like, this is it. This is the time right now. Do it. And I jumped into it, and here I am.
Thank you for listening and welcome. And yes, of course, my energy field recognizes you completely, energetically. So welcome. Is this your first? Yeah. So you can feel that. Who feels that? Okay, I do. I guess it's yes. Yes. So one of the things I do know deeply, which is why I'm making myself more visible, because you probably figured out I'm an extreme introvert, and is that many of us have worked together before, and they haven't told me the total story of of my failure, what I did in Atlantis, but many of us have worked together before and collaborated in different cultures, and you're drawn in through a recognition, many of you, of me. That's what they're creating in the world right now, so that doesn't surprise me. And but the hidden part of that is, and I saw this immediately when I was told my mission was in sound, was that there was deep recognition, but we've also made a lot of mistakes, all of us. So forgive me if I've made any of those mistakes with any of you. God knows what they were. And hopefully they'll never tell me. No, I actually would be interested in knowing at this point. But we've, so the forgiveness and the unconditional acceptance and love is very, as Anne said, it's the only way we're going to grow, really, is. And I've hesitated because, to do certain things, but this is the time now. So thank you. And your guides are wanting you, of course, to become involved. What kind of coaching do you do?
I began as a holistic health coach, and I have seen so many signs telling me to go into the more spiritual coaching, and yes, of course, integrate everything together, but make it more focused and intentional on spirituality and awareness and consciousness and awakening into your true self. So that's what I've been following, and here I am. So I guess I'm on the right track as far as that goes. Yeah.
You'll be guided. Your guides will keep. And where are you based? Are you in the United? Where are you based? Are you?
I am in California, in Southern California.
Ah, okay, excellent. So if you haven't experienced the miracle yet, there are practitioners that you could meet with, so we can set that up. So you can message me later, and I'll connect you with someone.
That was great. Thank you so much. Yes, because I don't yet own or have experienced the iCube and the technology. I just began doing the cloud sound voice therapy, which I can tell you, I already felt amazing experiences. Like I had this sensation of cleansing deep within. It's like an onion that is being peeled off little by little, and then you feel like you're getting closer and closer to the core of something, and it felt amazing so far. I started just yesterday, but I can tell you already that it's just that is already something that I could see and experience myself. Feeling like a cleansing, like a deep cleaning down there somewhere throughout my body. And yeah, I can't wait to get an iCube and see what else can happen, because it's so interesting. For many years, and this goes to a question that I have, for many years I have been listening to solfeggio frequencies.
Ah, of course.
Obviously, I'm drawn to sound
Yes.
forever. I love the sound of violins, like you said. So I've been listening to those audios throughout the night, every night for, I think, over 11 or 12 years now, every night and sometimes during the day. And I noticed that when I started listening to that, I began feeling different. Something started to change within me. And so now I just wanted to ask you is how is the iCube technology, the scalar technology, compared to or similar or different to the solfeggio frequencies?
Oh, that's a good and interesting question. So it's like solfeggio is based on one entire theory, and our frequencies are based or downloaded, I'll be very honest with you, from beings who they are at an accuracy like nothing else. Mm-hmm. So it's not a theory, it's not a man-made theory, it's been guided from the beginning to the end and basically downloaded. So frequency is, it's actually an extremely precise science. And mankind has, so when you go to solfeggio, that's like one theory. And I was a child musician, so I really understand. It all has validity and usefulness. But ours consider them to be downloaded from a group of intelligences that are way beyond this world, that actually can read a screen, which exists, the Akashic records, etc. So, and they can shift slightly, but so ours is sort of an off-world, it's really off-world based from knowledge and beings that are extremely knowledgeable about sound, because sound is a very precise science. It's unbelievable what can be done with sound and scalar energy. We're at, small percentage. We're at the highest legal limit at the moment. But it can be amplified at levels that you can do anything, which is, that was where Atlantis was advanced, is that we could do almost anything. We could walk through walls. So we could do almost anything with sound. And we're going to move back towards that. It's going to be very slow, though, a few hundred years, basically. So yeah, so we'll get more into that also. I'm trying to see. I'm getting kind of a lot of feedback right now, but I'm trying to see. I'll tell you what I'm thinking of is meeting like something like once or twice a week, a month. Could be almost any format. It's just I don't want to have to prepare for each time the way I do usually. So it could be interactive every week if I don't have to do a formal presentation. So I'm going to be relying upon your feedback though, and we can invite people who are interested in learning more because you're all at slightly different levels, but you all have huge knowledge. And just know I'm always talking to your soul. So yes, we will, and all of these systems have validity. They just have a different, they have a different lineage and focus and outcome, I would say. So, and they work at a different rate. So the speed, ours is fast. I can tell you that. So if you're really open, but it'll bring up everyone's stuff, and that's the problem. So that's the dance for, and now people are more open. They're seeking solutions. Now, is there anyone, and you can book an appointment, you can book on my Calendly calendar, so if you want to talk some more. So who else wants to share something in the group? Because I'm now getting told you, and welcome. And should we call you Coach Benito?
Just call me Benito. It's fine. I forgot to change my name on the Zoom, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, we'll be going. The journey is to go little by little, deeper and deeper into your own personal empowerment. That's actually the journey. So you can influence. We're the way showers now. We've been doing this for a while, and so but we've been very hidden under the radar quite purposefully, and now we're taking some steps out into the public. We'll see how long that lasts. But the idea is this is ancient sacred knowledge, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't have this probably in every cell and bone of your body. So don't worry, it's all there. And Heather, did you want to ask me a question? Did you raise your hand or? Okay. I just want, because I've been pretty non-interactive in these, but I wanted to set the new bar for the new events coming forward. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great.
You're
I'm in a car.
Are you driving? Are you?
I am not driving. I'm in a car. In Montana, there's not a lot of internet. And there is internet at the library, but you're not allowed in. And you're allowed in, but you can't stay. And so,
welcome.
Oh, library.
Yeah. Yes. So you have a question.
So, yeah, I would just love to hear, and I've pieced together little things about how you use the machine, the Miracle, in every day. Like, I know it's awesome for like baths and when you bring food home and when you're growing things, but I would just love to kind of hear how you integrate it in your life in different ways.
Myself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You've had it the longest, right?
Bob has had it longest because he started working with us before I met him in this lifetime. So, yes. So, how do I use it? Well, first of all, in my house, I have 2 Miracle Pros, the whole Miracle, 2 Teslas, a Theta Love, a Focus Cube. So I'm swimming in the vortex all the time. And the way that we use it is, I'll be very honest with this group, actually, is at this time I am using this to cancel the discordant energy that is swallowing the planet. And to create a safe, coherent, and hot. I use it like a priestess in a temple would create an energetic vortex. That's exactly how I use this technology. And I can't really sustain my life at this point without it. That's the truth. So I swim in that field. There were points where I had to level up. And as we introduced technology after technology in that unfoldment, that, you know, some of you have witnessed and experienced in that growth phase, there have been many purifications, but now it's my actual life force. It's what in this era of discordance. So we have all of those technologies running all of the time, and so it's what actually happens is that, but you know, we're kind of like the mothership. So what actually happens is, and you know, Ian is running the shop. He's like the other mothership, because they're actually giving birth to these babies. They're creating one at a time, these vortexes. But you know, swimming in the vortex, there's so much chaos and confusion right now on Earth, and disappointment, despair, delusion, depression, anger, anxiety. So these are basically gifts of some very, and you know, I know you're paying for them, but they're priceless, generating fields for you to grow in and to also sustain your sanity in. So that's the most important thing, is that you merge your energy field, so you actually become so awake that you know, like when I'm hearing, you know, we go out and do stuff, but you know, it's pretty intense what we're going through right now. It's like a massive disillusionment, and you know, the other side of that is there'll be more awakening. So that's my short and long story. So what I think I'm telling you is that I have merged, as any of the key figures in this work, we have merged our energy field. So with these technologies, there's really not any difference between. Okay. So we feel that when it's off, and that's what we'll teach you how to do, is how to become one with that. So that was the secret in Atlantis, I was told, is that we understood they were living energy fields, and you know, not humans, but a high energy field. Any other questions from you, Heather? I'm curious. I overwhelmed you a little there. Sorry. Did a big message to the group. I didn't even know that.
I'm trying not to ask 5D questions, like is it best for this, and do you use it for that?
Ask me one. I'm curious.
I guess one of my 5D questions would be, how does it change your sleep? Like your dreams? Like, do you find the PM is more important, or is starting off with your affirmation or what you're going for more important when you're sleeping?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, the dirty little secret is that your PM, your delta, is your most important state, because it's when you're the most open and receptive. And we can do like lifetimes of work in 20 minutes. Like you can work through a whole trauma in 20 minutes. And so it is the most impactful. But in the conscious waking state, the voice code analysis is very, very important. And I recently, I don't think she's on the line, but I recently was talking to a lady in Italy, and her daughter is like 4 years old. And when I put on Delta, she wouldn't wake up, so she started wetting the bed. And they had to turn off the Delta, but I told her that's amazing, because it means that she's in such a deep Delta state that she's probably either doing profound work or healing something. And so it's extremely impactful, whatever happens in the Delta state. We'll go into that more if you're interested, because I have brain scientist friends who love, who taught me this. I didn't know any of this, by the way. I was taught that by Octavio Pino, Dr. Pino. And if you're interested, so I want you to start thinking, because I'm going to listen to your feedback. I could, for example, have Dr. Pino on as a guest, he's a brain scientist, a medical doctor, a neurosurgeon. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, give me the high five. Yeah, so because he taught me all of this, now it's kind of second nature, but the power of Deep Delta and how, so I learned that from Muktananda, that you can work through in 20 minutes of a dream sequence, like karmic patterns and blocks and anxieties. You can work it through in sleep. But then I, got to meet Dr. Pino, and we'll have him as a guest. How many would like that? So I can interview him and he'll talk to you. He's very knowledgeable and he's a friend. He's down the road here. Okay, so thank you. Those were very good questions. Yes, welcome. Okay, anybody else have a burning question? And how many people would like to jump into, I had no plans, but it's feeling we need to do the hypnotic trance and do some deeper work. How many feel the pull of the energy? Yeah, I'm feeling if I go to sleep here, it's because they just put me in Delta. Yes, so okay. All right, and thank you and welcome to anyone that's new. Going forward, I'm just looking for where everyone is at, but I'm here to serve, and as long as I don't have to create new ingenious content, no, I'm just kidding, but we can meet weekly as long as it's not too much for people in this movement ahead. Okay, so is there a burning question? You'll have to raise your hand if you have a burning question, because I know I've been fairly non-interactive because these will be shared with all new buyers. I want them to get a feeling. And also get the knowledge. Do you have Jennifer, do you have a question yet? Okay, Jennifer's a burning question. Okay, I think you have to, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Yes. You're standing in from New York, right? You're on Long Island.
Long Island, New York. Yeah. I'd like to know a little bit, if you can, about the inert noble gases. Just a little thing.
Thank you. So that was a big part of the content that we left out. That's why I realized, we did 5 weeks and we didn't even touch. I tried to answer questions, but the inert noble gases, another, plasmas, but are actually what compose the universe and your field. And they included in the technologies, and each has a different now the most important organ, because there's a thing of the energy, the reasons and so that humanity is like a starving person. It's actually one reason why we feel that the sense of is because you feel that see inert noble gases. And I will create a section, I think the new format will be I might talk for 10 or 15 minutes and then have questions and interactions and then do it's coming, how do you think that sounds like a good plan? So I don't have to do, so it's easy for me to talk, and then I might have some special guests. Okay, raise your hand if you resonate with that. Yeah, so because I have special guests, good. Okay, where people can talk, and also I'll have you all sharing as well. So the next phase will be much more interactive. I just had to put this out so that the people coming in from David Wolf, or if we do another adventure with someone, that they can download this quickly and watch them. Some of you have come in from different channels, but thank you. we will have one of the things going forward with are the inert noble gases, very important. And it was likened like giving a starving man a 5-course meal. That's what it's like. One of the things that will happen in the future on Earth is that we will deplete the xenon, for example. That's kind of sad. So they said at one point, now this sounded totally crazy, but people would actually break open the ampules to put xenon on Earth. So it's a very valuable commodity, actually, on these levels. We'll go more into that. Okay, so thank you and good to see you. Anyone else have a burning question, issue, something they need to share? Okay, Monica, I'm partly meeting some of you for the first time or seeing you on Zoom for the first time. Okay, you have to unmute.
There we go. I was trying to, it just kept you beat me to
Hi,
it.
Monica.
Hello. So I've been working with the technology for about 7 years, I think, and I actually did the original certification training, but I never finished it, and I've been having some trouble, I guess, stepping into using it as a practitioner because, like, I'm also an RMT, I have some other modalities, and for all of those, I'm like certified and licensed and insured, and I'm having trouble just understanding like what are the sort of like barriers, I guess, and like am I even allowed to do this as a practitioner without that? And I know some of it's just like the mental like brain, you know, just getting in my way of that healing, but it's like yeah, I don't know, so maybe you could speak to that a bit.
Excellent question. So, we've actually been in transition ourselves. Now I understand why for the last 2 years where we had, an esteemed member of our community with like a couple of PhDs and all that stuff teaching. And then all of a sudden it just did not resonate with us. And so we stopped it without any real plans. So is that where you did your certification? Was that our previous program? It feels like another lifetime already. But so moving forward, I'm contracting with a group that is a legally licensed group that should anyone have any issues, and you can get your licensing. The certification, what I'll be doing is creating an ongoing event where you get to practice and do different things. For example, I might have you give a 10-minute TED Talk, but you'll do different things, but then we will use this licensing board for your legal protection. So you'll have informed consents and so on. But the actual study will be coming through us. So we teach you according to the true knowledge, because it was being taught more scientifically, but not correctly, because the sciences on Earth are quite backward, actually. So you don't want to study too much of that, but we will teach you, from our perspective, the quantum spiritual science that we've created here. And so I will be recommending that you engage with this certification board, and that's a much simpler thing, and they provide legal support and so on and so forth should anyone be challenged, because people's stuff comes up, so we want to make sure you're protected in the world and so on. So yes, there will be more. That will be part of what was not covered. This I in the end named pre-certification, and my brain hasn't even gone, but this group is very legally backed up, so that if anyone is challenged for any reason, as long as you're participating in that license, I'll do the certifying, so I know that your stuff. And a lot of that is energetic with me, as you could probably tell. And then we'll have the legal protection through this other group. And I'm not guided to continue to work with the group that I was previously working with, because I don't think that they're going to provide enough protection going forward. and there is a small fee, monthly that will be paid to that group, but it will actually give you any kind of legal protection. So if you want to hang a shingle or start seeing people in your home, and that starts to sound like we're going to go into that part of the course, because I'll have my own requirements that you have a presentation, and it's very simplified and not scary to people. But then you'll understand the energy after we go through this next year together. Because I am looking at a year of engagement. How many people think, an ongoing engagement during this time of crisis is really important for your growth, because things are coming up at a faster rate. But I can also, I'm a seasoned therapist, and I've been doing it since I was way too young, like 15 years old. I've been seeing people in offices, which is really way too young, but I was doing that. So I have that knowledge. So I know I can help to set you up, but also we have the group in line to protect you. And it sounds like you've got enough protection, but it's a good idea to have this licensing board behind us. They're based out of Texas, but it's far advanced from the board that we were working with before, much more professional, with actually attorneys prepared to protect you. So yes, and thank you for that, because I have my mind hasn't shifted into the new yet. Did you have another question, Monica? I think she does, but I think she has to unmute.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself so that I could listen. So I'm just curious, I guess, am I allowed to start using this now? Because
absolutely. Do you have
even though, I did my first sound group actually online a couple weeks ago.
Excellent.
And then I was just kind of I don't know if I don't know. And it's just some of it's just the brain thing, but you're saying the certification is coming, and just to start doing it anyways.
Do you have an informed, so you're doing it online?
Yeah. Okay. And I have the informed consent thing that I did from the previous training, but
stuff comes up, especially with our work. Yes. Yeah, so I'm selective with our audience. There's an individual screening board. So, so you're seeing some highly refined people, and, the selection occurs on many levels. It's one of the reasons I do those sessions that I'm doing now. But so you're going to see over the next few years, people's stuff is going to come up in a very big way. But it sounds like you're certified as a therapist in other areas.
Well, I'm a massage therapist.
Okay.
And I do a Reiki practitioner, so I'm insured under those modalities, but then this kind of stretches beyond that. So I'm just it's kind of a gray area, and I've just been kind of hesitant to step outside of my current,
safe place. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So actually, it's good you're helping me to shift gears. And the next phase of this course we will keep it open to the community, but it will also involve the basics of certification in this modality. That's why we didn't go very deeply into voice analysis. We went into taking a remote voice sample. And thank you so much for everyone that's contributed to the last 5 weeks that turned into 6 weeks. But thank you for asking that question, because yes, you can do that. I have to consult with a couple of people about informed consents when you're doing virtual sessions, because usually it involves a signature, which of course you could get. And it depends on if it's going to be ongoing or private sessions. You should definitely be getting informed consents. And this is where the legal supports provided by this group can be very useful. But it's almost like we really have to rethink all of our practices, because you'll be doing so much more online over the next 3 years. And we will be covering that. But if you do have an informed consent and you are doing private sessions or group sessions, it's a good idea. It's an extra administrative task, but it's a good idea just to give yourself protection. And it gives that boundary that people understand that I'm doing this work, and there are certain boundaries around the work. So we're already starting to thank you, that just helped to shift the gears. And we did have a certification program in place, but that is going to be transformed according to the new world. See why we waited? The new world is remote voice sampling and working with groups online. And yes, and then perhaps delivering informed consents online, because they won't necessarily be signing them. They'll be signing them electronically. So very good question, and thank you. That gives me some insight into some of the content coming. Any other questions? Who would like to continue to meet? That's a question I have. Who feels okay? I guess so pretty much everyone that I can see visually, and a lot of you are. Yeah, so you can message me. Okay, so that's good. Okay, excellent. All right, so how many people feel that, and I'm just going to take this with who I can see, because a lot of you are hiding still. How many of you feel that we should meet weekly? How many people feel that I can see? Okay, good. How many people feel that we should meet every other week? Okay, well, that's easy. Okay, done. All right, so we're going to be continuing. I'm going to take next week because I'm working on creating this. I'm in a virtual mastermind, actually, but it will give me the insight into how to structure this for all of our ongoing members. And I want to thank everyone that has supported this last 5 weeks that turned into 6 weeks because of my going through some cleansing, and we will be continuing. So I've just made my decision. We will continue, and we will actually, there'll be more content around teaching and things like informed consents and I have to think this through electronically. So I'll be consulting with some of the other gurus around stuff like this. How do you get anyway, I'll be thinking it through and continue to ask questions. And then we won't be meeting next week. We'll either be waiting, taking a break for 2 weeks or 1 week. I'm not sure which. It depends on how inspired I get next week. And I do want to thank all of you for supporting this. What this is part of the current offer on the Home Miracle, which which Ian is continuing to build, and we're going to spread that throughout the planet real fast, so we can get those vortexes operating, so you can go into elevated states and become masters and just teach everyone, because that's the idea. You are all the masters. So that being said, should we end on this note, or do we want to do a meditation, visualization, clearing, cleansing, of course? All right. So if there are no further burning questions, just so you know, going forward, it will be more interactive, where as the content comes in, like I realized, oh, I forgot to talk about the inert noble gases. How interesting. I realize we have so much more content. So we will figure all of this out going forward. I do want to invite all of you to, if you haven't signed up for Scalar Sound Voice Mastermind, please do that, because I will be posting content in there where we started doing videos. So we're going to start doing videos. So I'll be posting all kinds of stuff, just playing around and teaching and taking your temperature, seeing, what's going on, what you need next. And we'll build the content around your needs and your interests. But there will be a big need for remote voice code analysis. So keep that in mind. All right. So now we are going to, Natalie, I think we should stop the recording and start the recording again, so this is separate. I think it's a good idea, or Ian. And This is a good time to become very relaxed. So this has been a journey, and I want to thank all of you for your support, your participation, and just know that you are all the masters. We are in the role of awakening your master within and giving you the tools that I'm pretty sure if you didn't know about, you wouldn't be here. So there might be some, you will be introducing it and bringing it to people who perhaps don't know this work. But most of you are in this placement at this time, so you can share it with your tribe.